Okay, so this is a quick overview video of the benefits of the Grafcut G52 and Grafcut G52H, and also the differences between these two models in the range. So the Grafcut G52 and 52H both offer a 520mm cut width by 520mm cut depth behind the blade and an 80mm stack height. That format makes the most popular machine in our range because we can cut SRA2 in half and then SRA3 in both portrait and landscape orientation. The differences between the two machines. So the main difference between the two machines is the G52 is electro-mechanically driven, so a motor and gearbox, whereas the hydraulic model is fully hydraulic. So we've got a fully hydraulic powered clamp and knife, motor and gearbox powered clamp and knife. The other difference is the 52H comes with a foot treadle, so we can manually bring the clamp down onto our stock without the need for any power. This makes it really easy to handle awkward stocks, such as booklets or folded leaflets, or items that slide around when they're trying to be cut beforehand. You're trying to shut a lid and the paper's moving. It's rather annoying, whereas with a foot treadle, we can put our paper in, we can keep hold of it, and then we can clamp it with our foot, and then we can press the buttons and fire the machine, which makes it far easier to handle them awkward stocks. Other differences include hydraulically adjustable clamping pressure. So on the 52H we can adjust the clamping pressure by this dial here, indicated from the pressure gauge on the front. So we've got from 20 to 120 bar pressure being applied through the clamp. This machine, the clamp comes down electro-mechanically, so there is an adjustment on it through the screen, but it's not the same as hydraulic adjustment, but it does allow you to adjust the pressure, which for electromechanical machine is very unusual, but it does give it some extra features that are not found on the competition machines. So also both machines do have a false clamp plate on both models. So again, this goes with pressure adjustment. So digital print tends to be quite delicate, so when you bring the clamp down, you can get marking on the top couple of sheets. So you therefore adjust the pressure down, but that doesn't always work. So therefore, these machines all have a false clamp plate. So what false clamp plate does, instead of being the independent finials being pressed down onto the paper or the stock, which apply independent pressure points and therefore mark the sheet, a false clamp plate clips into the clamp assembly and basically is a steel plate across the full width of the clamp, and when the clamp comes down it spreads the load of the pressure and therefore prevents the marking. It can also be removed when you're doing smaller than a 40mm cut. The false clamp plate simply lifts off, so you just undo 2 screws there and the false clamp plate will come away, and it's stored underneath the machine when it's not in use, and then it allows the back gauge to come forward to 20mm to do your very small cuts. Both machines also have the colour touchscreen controller, both exactly the same on both machines. So the touchscreen controller allows you to either run the machine manually, so we can move the back gauge forwards and backwards on the buttons, or we can basically bring it forward to the size we want, and then we can creep it in on the dial at the front, so we can do very minute adjustments to actually bring the paper size to where we want it to be, and then obviously do our cut. We've also got an eject function, so we can push the paper forward, so we don't have to put our hand underneath the clamp and knife to pull it out. So I can just show you that. Basically pushes it out, so you can take it out easy enough. It goes back to the same position it was in before. We've also got an auto mode, which is a program function. So the big difference with the programs on these machines is the fact that we can not only put 100 programs in, so if we're doing business card, which is 20 odd cuts, then we can put all the steps in for the business cards. And then the big difference is when you save the job, we get a little pop-up for a QWERTY keyboard on the screen, and it allows us to enter a full name for every job, which makes it really easy. You've got multiple operators to recall work. So rather than picking a number and hoping for the best, you can actually give them all names, and then anybody can recall the job really simply. And then basically we've also got a card cutting mode. So the card cutting mode allows us to basically start off with a starting size of the sheet, so let's say 450 millimeters. Tell it the first cut size, 435. Tell it the gutter cut, 5mm, and the size of your cards, for instance, 55 or 85, whatever they are. And then rather than going into a full program, you can do a quick run where it'll just cut, auto step, moving 55, 6mm, 55, 6mm. Obviously you're pressing the cut buttons, but the back gauge is moving itself. We've also got, on the front, we've got a absolute mode and incremental mode, so we can run it just pressing the size and the back gauge will run, or we can just tell it we want to do repeat cuts of a certain size and it will step forward itself. Both machines also have the red laser light, so you can see exactly where you're cutting on both machines, and an illuminated front table on both machines as well. Other important features on both models: all the Grafcut machines come with an IR safety curtain as opposed to any options for a lid guarded machine. The reason for that is it's far more productive having no lid guard in the way. There's less things to go wrong, and also a lid guard against an IR is a lot slower in terms of operation. These are around 20 to 30% faster without a lid guard than with a lid guard. And also the IR safety functions on these, so the actual IR curtains themselves are built into the side lay, and they are by SICK, so everything on the machine is either SICK or Omron or Delta PLC controller. So SICK, world leaders in safety systems, so all that's on there. And last thing, all the movements of the knife, the clamp and the back gauge is controlled by proximity sensors. So other machines tend to have little micro switches which basically the back gauge or the clamp strikes to tell it's up or down. Micro switches have a habit of breaking down, so because lots of movements, lots of touches, eventually the break, the machine goes down and you have to get an engineer. These machines with proximity switches, nothing touches the switch, so it's just proximity. So basically with the back gauge and the clamp or the knife, whatever gets to a certain position, it goes past that point and it senses it within proximity of the sensor and therefore knows where it is. So there's no moving parts for the switches or stop positions or anything like that, which means there's nothing to basically break. That pretty much sums up the two machines and the main differences. Afterprint Limited are the UK main agent for Grafcut. We do tend to have these machines in our showroom all the time. If you want to come and see one, we welcome any demonstration. We can show you the differences between the Grafcut and the alternative models that are out there. We can do sample jobs with you, whatever you want to do. We've also got installations up and down the country, so if you're a bit far from our Warrington showroom, then obviously we can take you to a site we've already installed the machine. Give us a call with any questions. Thanks for watching.